So for those of you who follow my channel, you know that I had a less than ideal experience on an A220 recently. Here's hoping that this experience is going to be better. Not too long ago, I took my first A220 flight. You can find a link to that video in the description below. I was pumped. A brand new state-of-the-art airplane, a window in the lavatory, and seat 1A in first class. What more could I ask for? Well, as the jet bridge pushed back, this happened. The window was so obscured by markings left by the jet bridge that my view was severely impeded. I had so much trouble seeing out of the window, and after walking around the plane, my window was the only window with this issue. So today, I'm going to try it again, this time in seat 1D and on an even newer Airbus A220-300. I am back on the road in New York City, headed to LaGuardia Airport. Just like last time I was getting ready to board the A220, I have very high hopes. This time it's another version of the A220 that I'll be boarding, the extended version, so I can add another aircraft type flown to my list. The New York City traffic eventually let up, and my ride brought me to LGA. Well, I'd like to welcome myself back to LaGuardia Airport. There's a lot going on here at LaGuardia with all the construction, but I'll be flying out of the original D terminal. I'm counting down the days until this check-in area is gone and the new head house will take its place, but for me today, the future is here, as my aircraft is a brand new one. And while I'm using the old D check-in area, my flight will operate out of the new G gates today, so there's a lot to look forward to. As always, I like to pick up a few items before my flight. We're still not back to pre-pandemic hot meal service in first class, so as usual, I stock up before my flight in case I get hungry during my journey. But a stop in the Delta Sky Club for some nourishment is a must for me too. Thank you. The Sky Club here at the D terminal provided me with small bites that all added up, making me sufficiently full for my flight over to Minneapolis today. I knew I'd be getting a snack box after takeoff on the plane, but the food here was enough. Each time I visit the Sky Club here at LaGuardia, I notice that the traffic is picking up. It's definitely more crowded than it was just a few weeks ago. Boarding begins in about 30 minutes, so I'm going to work my way over to the gate area. I enjoyed my time at the Delta Sky Club, but now I'm getting ready to fly on the A220-300. Even though I'll be leaving from the new G gates accessed from the D terminal, I just had to take a look at the old D gates. I actually was not sure if I was going to be able to walk through this area again. Half of the original D concourse is closed. I can't get over how different this view is from just a short time ago. From this side of the D concourse, you can see a new concourse in the C terminal that's under development. And on the other side, the windows are obscured because behind them is a new concourse for the D terminal that's being built. You can see that concourse's progress in my latest LaGuardia construction video update. Could this be my last time walking in this concourse? We'll have to see. Things are always changing at LaGuardia. The east side of the original D terminal leads to the new G gates via a walkway that will eventually be demolished when a new pedestrian bridge opens. And there she is, the A220-300. This airplane has actually been sitting on the ground for several hours now. It came in from Palm Beach. All the window shades are down, but I'm definitely going to open up my window shade when I board. If you follow my channel, you know that I fly out of LaGuardia Airport very often. This is the very first time I'm going to be flying on the A220-300 because this is the first time that the aircraft type is actually being used at LaGuardia. Previously, only the A220 original series was being used at LaGuardia, but now it's time for a change. This area is temporary, and a new Delta Airlines head house will lead to a new bridge that leads to the new G gates that I'll be using today. Once the new head house is completed, passengers will be able to take an escalator, that's just a drawing, to this terminal. It is an absolutely beautiful space. Look at this. What a contrast from the old Terminal D. The new G gates are D92 to D96. My A220 is at D95, so let's head on over that way. I love the homage to Fiorello LaGuardia. This is the man who the airport is named after. I love the new G concourse. There are windows on both sides, and you can easily see Flushing Bay on one side. These are never before seen views from LaGuardia. Here you can see the various sports arenas in the Queens, and on the other side are the gates. I love it because I'm able to get close to my brand new A220-300. Now, isn't that a sleek looking nose? Boarding in just a few moments. Delta actually moved the departure time up by 5 minutes. That doesn't happen too often. Boarding has commenced, so come along with me on this brand new airplane.
I'd like to board our first class cabin and diamond with Diamond. You're welcome to board Delta Flight 1443 to Minneapolis, first class and diamond. You're welcome to board.
Peter, thank you. Thank you. Bye. This jet bridge is rather long, but the G gates are situated a bit high off the ground, so it takes a longer jet bridge to get down to plane level so it's not too steep. As a Delta hub, this jet bridge is adorned with advertisements for Delta. You'll find this at any airport where Delta has a large presence. Welcome aboard the A220-300. The first thing that I noticed was that the cool blue mood lighting was not on, but rather the more generic white lighting. This plane is longer than the A220-100 series, but other than that, there really aren't too many differences. In 1D, I've got 2 windows all to myself. That's a plus. These seats have a modern look, and the first class cabin offers enough space. It's time to get seated and open the window shades. Yes, I can see out. There are no scratches on this window like there were on my A220 in seat 1A on my previous flight. Now this is a window. I am loving the fact that I've got 2 windows for myself, not just one like on the other side of the airplane. Why can't all airplanes have windows this big? Big windows are all I need to achieve happiness. This is going to be a good flight. This plane is brand new. Easy to use overhead controls include a reading light and air duct. There's one for each passenger, and first class is in a 2x2 configuration. On the armrest, you can find a power outlet and a button to recline your seat. The IFE, or in-flight entertainment screens, are large and easy on the eyes. There's no more Sky magazine on Delta during the pandemic, but you can read the safety card if you're looking to hold some written material in your hands.
To Minneapolis, we're all set up front. We'll be pushing back in just a couple of minutes. Once we get airborne, 2 hours and 17 minutes. Should be mostly a smooth ride over to Minneapolis. Please do pay attention to the seatbelt sign. Good afternoon and welcome aboard.
If you're sitting in the main cabin, or even if you're in first class and you need to use the restroom later on, you will find a window in the back left-hand side of the lavatory. Probably one of the only airplanes you'll ever see that on.
I thought it was pretty neat how the flight attendant made an announcement about how the rear lavatory has a window in it. We'll get to that lav during the flight because for now, my seatbelt is fastened as my A220 leaves the gate area. Today, we'll be taking off on runway 4 via taxiways Bravo, Echo, and Alpha. It's always nice to finally see other airplanes as we taxied along. Traffic at LaGuardia is picking up after a year of very low flight counts due to the pandemic. Once we reached the end of taxiway Bravo, it was time to line up and wait on runway 4. You gotta love this view as we turn the corner and await our takeoff clearance from LaGuardia Tower. We actually wound up waiting a few minutes in position on the runway because arriving flights were landing on runway 31, which intersects with runway 4. These airplanes are flying an approach called the Expressway Visual Runway 31 approach. I've got a whole video on my channel that describes how to avoid delays at LaGuardia when this runway configuration is in use. Okay, the intersection is clear, so we are now cleared for takeoff on a northeastern heading on the 7,001-foot-long runway 4. This seat provides an excellent view of the wing and right engine. Let's listen to the sound of the Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan engines. It's actually quite quiet. Our initial climb out takes us northeast over the East River. We will fly in this direction over the New York City borough of the Bronx until we reach the Westchester border. We're now talking to the New York TRACON in Garden City, New York. Their goal is to provide us with radar vectors toward our departure fix, which is toward the northwest, where we can then proceed with our own navigational tools to our final destination. Here's that left turn to bring us to the northwest. Both the A220-100 and A220-300 have a phenomenal flight tracking system, providing accurate positioning and multidimensional views of the flight. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I will always select the window seat, and if there's any in-flight entertainment offered, I will only watch the flight tracker. Don't forget to check out some of my past flight experiences and general videos, and if you're not a subscriber, I invite you to click on the subscribe button below because there is a lot more coming and I don't want you to miss out. As my subscriber count grows, I have you to thank. It's snack time. The first-class domestic short-haul meal is pretty standard these days, and I'm quite used to the product offering. I got my usual, and as usual, I just saved the contents for a later time when I was hungry. I was still full from all the food that I ate at the Sky Club before my flight. It's now time for one of my favorite parts of the flight, our entry into Canada. Even though this is an entirely domestic flight in the USA, the fastest route brings us through a part of southern Ontario, so it's always nice to get a glimpse of another country, especially during these times when international travel is still at an all-time low due to the pandemic. The border crossing takes us right over Niagara Falls, and you can see part of the falls by looking nearly straight down. We're now over Lake Ontario and are afforded some great views of the city of Toronto. While the city has a population of 2.7 million, the entire urban area is home to 5.4 million, and the population density is clearly evident from this high altitude. When turned on, the interior lighting is warm, and here I'm taking a trip to the rear of the aircraft. Why leave first class and head back? The lavatory. There's a window in this lavatory, and I was not the only passenger who went to check it out with camera in hand. You'll recall in my first A220 video, I visited the lav, and I was happy because I could actually see out the window because my window was so dirty. But this trip to the lav was just to go back and take in the fact that there is a window in the lavatory. We'll head back to the front of the airplane now. The main cabin and Comfort Plus section of this aircraft look quite comfortable. That blue lighting on the ceiling is really charming. My two giant windows provided me with some excellent views of Traverse City, Michigan, as we made our way across the state's Upper Peninsula. Moments later, we flew by Michigan's western shore by Crystal Lake for the 10-minute crossing of Lake Michigan. Here we are approaching Green Bay, Wisconsin, and the city of Sturgeon Bay. We'll be making our descent soon, so I'm going to make a trip to the first-class lavatory. This lav is definitely more luxurious than the rear lav, but it lacks a window, making the rear lav the real winner. This lav, however, is much more spacious and very well appointed. I almost forgot I was in an airplane while using this space because it really stands out from other first-class lavatories. I've returned to my seat and fastened my seatbelt because we're going to start on down soon.
About 14 minutes past the hour, just a little over 30 minutes from now. Should we engage just about 6:21 p.m. local? Gate of arrival is going to be gate F as in Frank 12. Today we're going to be about, looks like 34 minutes early. Very nice day in Minneapolis. Breezy out of the southeast. Probably nice skies. Got a lot of having board today. Thank you so much for flying with us on Delta. Hope to see you guys again soon on future Delta flying. Really do appreciate your business. Seatbelt sign is on. If you're moving out the cabin, please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. I'd like to ask the flight attendants to please prepare the cabin for arrival. Thank you.
For our initial approach, please stay seated for the duration of the flight. We've discontinued all cabin service. Check our intermediate seating area if there's anything you'd like to throw away or come pick that up. If you took the exact seats during the flight, we ask that you spare them at this time.
Minneapolis Approach Control began to issue us radar vectors to set us up for an approach to runway 12 left. We're going to fly past MSP Airport, and how far we go depends on how many aircraft are in front of us. We'll then make a left turn, then head back in towards the runway. My large A220 window offered me a nice view of this A320 landing on the parallel runway, runway 12 right. And here we are, touching down on the 8,200-foot-long runway, which heads towards the southeast. Our captain did a fine job bringing this bird to a stop. Our arrival gate is actually on the other side of the terminal, so runway 12 right would have been ideal for landing, but because of the direction we came from, runway 12 left was the most reasonable from an air traffic perspective. Because MSP Airport is very efficient, it really did not take very long at all to get to our gate in the F concourse. As I taxied in, I recalled the experience I'd had on my first A220 with the scratched window. Wow, this flight was worlds apart for me. If you have an opportunity to fly an A220, I say go for it. I did not notice any differences between the -100 and -300 versions, except that the -300 version is slightly longer. It is a really amazing, state-of-the-art airplane to fly on. Welcome to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, that was a really great flight. The visibility out the window was fantastic. Loved it. Having a large window makes a really big difference on an airplane, and having a large window that you can actually see through makes an incredible difference. I really enjoyed this flight. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be posting a lot more videos like this, so hit that bell button so that you're alerted as to every time I post a new video for you.